I'm a patent lawyer and a founder of a pretty well-respected intellectual property law firm. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm standing in a middle school auditorium facing about 300 middle school students, and I'm saying to them, dinosaur farts, sheep burps, termite toots. Why am I doing this? Because for the 11th year in a row, I am there in a middle school to teach about environmentalism, to tell a bunch of middle school students about climate change, about fracking, about the ozone hole, about what our responsibility is to each other and to our world. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I owe a debt. I owe a debt to a man named Ralph Heister, Jr. Dr. Heister was my high school biology teacher. And in the course of 18 months at Conestoga High School in the Tredyffrin Easttown district out on the main line, he changed my life. He did so as the only PhD teaching in the entire school district. He did so by dancing strangely, imitating a chicken's mating dance. But more than that, he did so because he had the courage to tell the truth. And that truth started with, believe it or not, a very difficult lesson. An article written in 1964 by a climate scientist named Garrett Hardin called The Tragedy of the Commons. The Tragedy of the Commons starts out by discussing nuclear theory, nuclear war. And it goes from there to explaining exactly why environmentalism is so difficult. Hardin explained, and Dr. Heister explained, that if you look at the way a town in the English Midlands functioned, you'll understand the problem. You see, in the middle of the town, there's a commons, an enclosed pasture. And each one of the farmers is allowed to graze his flock in the pasture. Now, if you look at this rationally, as each farmer should do, that pasture is there for the taking and everyone gets to use it. So as a rational farmer, I should, Hardin said, increase the size of my flock. And every other farmer should rationally do the same. And this leads inexorably to ruin. Because no one owns the commons, everyone overuses the commons. Eventually, the system crashes. Capitalism, it turns out, is not a very good way to manage our common heritage. And Dr. Heister had the temerity to assign a deep scientific article to a bunch of high school sophomores and expect them to understand it. When you think about our environment, you should think about the commons. Think about the air we breathe and the water we drink. Think about the fact that if you are a rational capitalist and you own a factory, you should rationally dump everything in the river and let it flow downstream. I admit, a child of the baby boom. I had the good fortune to move to Cleveland, Ohio in 1969, just after the Cuyahoga River caught fire. I know what this looks like. I remember what the air in Philadelphia looked like in the early 70s. Billy Penn was a challenge. You couldn't see him through the smog. It's the commons, and rational actors will ruin it. Communists, by the way, are no better. Just look at East Germany and you'll see what happens there when you ignore and pretend the problem doesn't exist at all. And Dr. Heister taught this. Oh, there was one other thing that he taught us in that 18 months, and that is There's no such thing as away, as in you can't throw it away. It's in someone else's backyard, and it doesn't matter whether it's in a landfill, it's in the sewer, or it's been recycled and shipped to China, which, by the way, isn't taking it anymore. So Dr. Heister told the truth. We often think of our liberal heroes as being willing to speak truth to power. I think there's a different kind of hero. It's the hero who's willing to speak truth to children. Thank you.